In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what I built yesterday after working for over 17 hours and spending 214.6 million tokens on the newly released Gemini 3.1 Pro. So the first thing I want to talk about is the benchmarks with this model, and I'm going to be showing you guys the benchmarks, and then I'm also going to be showing you what I built with it yesterday after spending this amount of tokens. So let's just dive in, take a look at the benchmarks. One thing I want to say is I have been absolutely blown away by how this model has performed so far. I was expecting the model to release yesterday, but I wasn't expecting it to be this good. It's a massive jump from Gemini 3 Pro to Gemini 3.1 Pro. So if you look at the ARC AGI 2, look at this, 31.1% to 77.1%. That tests abstract reasoning puzzles. Humanity's Last Exam, same thing, 7% jump, 6% jump, respectively. Live Code Bench Pro, 2,439 to 2,887, and then SWE-Bench Pro, a very large jump of it was 4.4%. So SWE-Bench Pro, it does score under Opus 4.6 by a little bit, but one thing I want to say is that there are areas where this model excels in coding, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys a couple of the instances that I had yesterday where this model just performed incredibly well in real world vibe coding tasks. So with that being said, guys, I do have a like goal of 200 likes on this video, and if you haven't already joined the fastest growing vibe coding community on the internet, make sure you check the link in the description down below as well as in the pinned comment and join the BridgeMind Discord community. And with that being said, let's dive right into the video. All right, so the first thing that I want to cover is a little bit of the results from the BridgeBench. So I have put it through the creative HTML task. So for example, here is what it did for the Space Invaders demo. So you can see this is what it came up with. And what I will say is that this model, the capability of the UI functionality of it, its capabilities to be able to write unique and modern UI elements is very, very noticeable, okay? So you can go over here, right? And you can go, let's just go to the lava lamp, and I actually already have it pulled up. So this is the Gemini 3.1 Pro lava lamp, and this is the Opus 4.6 lava lamp. And you guys can make your judgments of which you think is better, but I can notice right off the bat, hey, this is better. This is a better lava lamp than this, and this is Opus 4.6, right? So now, let's go a little bit past. You guys can go check out the BridgeBench. I haven't yet put it in the leaderboard yet for the benchmark results where we put it through 130 tasks associated with vibe coding, but I have put it in the creative HTML. You guys can go check it out at BridgeMind.ai. But I want to show you that what I did yesterday in how I spent all of these tokens. So the first thing is I had it completely refactor pretty much, probably I would say like 20 to 30 pages on the website. And I'm going to show you just a couple of the highlights. So first of all, do you guys see this video? This video was created using Gemini 3.1 Pro, and it was created using Gemini 3.1 Pro and Remotion. And all I had to do was use cursor and say, look at the website and look at the products in the BridgeMind Vibe Coding Suite and create a marketing video that is accurate and represents the BridgeMind brand and theme. And it came up with this. And I would say that, hey, this is where you guys can see that as these models get better, the capabilities are going to go beyond just coding, right? We're creating marketing videos now. So that's one thing that it created. Another thing is I want to go over to the BridgeMCP and show you guys a really interesting example. So do you guys see this? This entire UI was created by Gemini 3.1 Pro. And if you look at this, do you guys see how the OpenClaw, Codex, Cursor, Claude, Windsurf, prior to using Gemini 3.1 Pro, I didn't have the actual brand assets for each of these brands, and it was just like placeholder icons. But I told Gemini 3.1 Pro, I want you to go on the internet and I want you to actually go grab the actual logos for each of these companies and then create a unique customized component for this. And this is what it came up with. It was able to actually go and grab the logos off the internet, which I think shows a lot more than just if you go back to the benchmarks, that example right there is showing the intelligence capabilities of it knowing and being able to understand, okay, I need to go here and I need to, look at the header and grab, go to the brand assets and download this file. And then I need to copy it over to the project and then I need to input that PNG here. And it did it flawlessly. You guys can see this looks great, right? So it also was able to create another marketing video. So the entire UI, the marketing video that you're seeing was created using Gemini 3.1 Pro. You can see this here. all of it Gemini 3.1 Pro. This animation was created using Gemini 3.1 Pro. Very, very good animation reflecting the Kanban capabilities of the BridgeMind MCP. So let's go back up, and another thing that I want to show you guys is just like these other pages, right? So look at this animation that it created. So this used Three.js, and it was able to create this unique animation that shows the capabilities of BridgeSpace and its ability to run 16 agents in parallel. It created this unique component here to kind of give it that fresh, unique look. And here's what we're seeing from Gemini 3.1 Pro in terms of styling. Gemini 3 Pro is already good at styling. This is a step up 100%. I noticed the capabilities of this. This is incredibly good at styling. I'm not going to be using Opus 4.6 for my styling ever again. This is the go-to model now for styling, okay? And I'm going to get into backend and database in a little bit because I did try it there, but I do want to continue to just show you guys what it was able to do. Look at this, another video, right? BridgeSpace, and it was able to create a unique video showing the capabilities of BridgeSpace for marketing purposes. It was even able to improve the performance by compressing the video so that it rendered faster and improved my site speeds, okay? That's another thing. Bridge Voice, same thing. Look at the Three.js animation. Look how unique it is. Look at just look at what it's doing, right? So a lot of people, they say, oh, your website looks vibe coded, it's not unique. And that was before we had this model. I just went through and I revamped the website. I had it create unique custom components, and I've just been very, very impressed on what it's been able to do for me. I had it rewrite the pricing page here, and this is what I'm seeing. This is a very, very good model in terms of UI. And a lot of people, they say, oh, Gemini 3 and just Gemini models, they can't be used for back-end purposes, right? They're great at front-end, but not back-end. And this is one example I'll show you. So I'll go out to cursor, and I can't, it's not a great example just because I'm showing you guys the conversation, but I used Gemini 3.1 Pro to be able to go through and completely refactor my auth system. I had an issue with my auth system where it was just a complicated issue, okay? I was using Opus 4.6. It was like 1 a.m. in the morning last night. I was using Opus 4.6. I was throwing everything I had with it with Opus 4.6. It couldn't get it. I give Gemini 3.1 Pro the issue. I put it in plan mode in cursor. I have it generate the plan, and I run the plan, and it was able to refactor the entire auth system across the API, the BridgeMind web app, the BridgeMind admin portal, and the BridgeMind UI. 4 different repos. It was able to refactor the entirety of the auth system, back-end, front-end, auth guards, complex logic, and be able to completely refactor it in a sensitive way where it completely fixed the issues that I was experiencing with the auth system in one shot. And I can't really show that to you guys because it was just something that I experienced offline, but I want you to know that that is what I experienced. So we'll see in the coming days if that, continues. But what I will say is that I'm very impressed so far with that. But with that being said, I think that gives you guys a look at just some of the examples, right? Even on the BridgeBench, this was all refactored. The styling here was rewritten by Gemini 3.1 Pro. All of this stuff, it was redone by Gemini 3.1 Pro. It completely revamped my website, and then I even used it was called a copywriting skill. So I created a copywriting skill inside of Cursor, and I gave the skill to Gemini 3.1 Pro, and I had it rewrite all of the content on my website so that it better fit my brand, right? So even Bridge Code, your terminal, your AI teammates. If you go to BridgeSpace, run 16 agents in parallel, right? It was the one doing the copywriting for this. So it's also good at writing. So if you are a vibe coder, hey, if you're doing copywriting, just create a skill in your brand voice, and Gemini 3.1 is just going to do a phenomenal job. That's what I'm seeing. So now that I've covered a little bit about what I did yesterday, and there's a lot more, I just can't show it. I literally can't show you guys everything that I did yesterday. It would not be possible. I did so much. But those are just some of the highlights, okay? Now I want to get a little bit into what we're seeing on the benchmarks in terms of speed. And this is one thing to definitely highlight is that this model is very, very fast. If you look at artificial analysis, the speed here, 106 on artificial analysis compared to Opus 4.6 at 73. And then, GPT, where even is it? Right here, 85. But look at OpenRouter. This is actually a better place to look for speed. Look at Google Vertex. This is what I'm seeing, 60 tokens per second on Google Vertex. That's the best place to look. And then if you compare that to Sonnet 4.6, so you're looking at 42 tokens per second there. So it's about a 50% improvement, and that's big. That is noticeable. I noticed the speed improvement. So know that it's a big speed improvement. And then when you look at the cost, This is another reason to be using this model. Look at the cost, $2 per million on the input, $12 per million on the output, compared with Opus 4.6 at $5 and $25. It's like, hey, does it make sense to use a model that is highly performant at half the cost, more than half the cost? Yes, it does. So there's a lot of people that, because they've had bad experiences with Gemini models, they don't want to use them. But I want to draw your attention to probably one of the biggest improvements that I've seen with Gemini 3.1 Pro. So if we add this model here, let's just add it real quick. Check this out, guys. Look at the artificial coding index. It ranks number 1 on the artificial analysis coding index, which is a very, very important benchmark. Look at this, 56 compared with GPT 5.2, 49, Opus 4.5. Can I add Opus 4.6 to this list? I think I can. I know I can, but this is having an issue here. Here, let's scroll all the way up here and then add it. Opus 4, this artificial analysis being so annoying. They definitely vibe coded this, so I can't add in Opus 4.6 just because they have this bug here with the scroll bar. But I think, what is it? I think it's like 53. It definitely does beat it out. I think I have it on my X, actually. Hold on, let me pull my X real quick, and then let me go to this so you guys can see it here. So where is it? It's right... Hold on, chat. Okay, right here. All right, so yeah, here it is. So Opus 4.6 got 48. It got 48 on the artificial analysis coding index. In Gemini 3.1 preview, 56, which is just insane. And I have another benchmark that I want to look at, and it's this one here. So this is another one off of artificial analysis. This is one of the biggest benchmarks to look at because this is what measures the hallucination rate. And one thing about Gemini models that a lot of people have struggled with is that they've had these incredibly high hallucination rates, which means that the model hallucinates more and it just runs into more issues, right? You ask it something to do and it goes off on a bunny trail that you never wanted it to do. It misunderstood your prompt, right? Look at how Gemini 3.1 Pro performs. 50%. This is the lowest hallucination rate for a frontier model that we are seeing. Because if you look at Opus 4.5 at 58%, and you look at GPT 5.2 at 78%, and then you look at Gemini 3.1 at 50%, they are getting this hallucination problem figured out. And the biggest thing I look at is even the comparison from the last iterations of the model, right? 88% to 50%. Google is doing something like, they do not count Google out. They are going to do very well. And if you, like, just because they had bad models that had high hallucination rates previously, you have to stay up to date with this stuff, and this is why. The hallucination rate, I was noticing it, right? It's like when I had it one-shot that auth issue across 4 different repositories, I noticed that, right? Opus 4.6 couldn't solve my problem. Gemini 3.1 Pro did. So take note of these benchmarks because they're very important. Another important benchmark that I'm going to take a look at real quick, and it's not a great benchmark to look at, but I do want to share it and just kind of share my perspective on it. So here's Gemini 3.1 Pro in LM Arena. You can see that it's performing 6th. But it's a little bit preliminary. So score is based on pre-release testing and may shift as community prompts and votes evolve after public launch. So it's 100 behind Opus 4.6, which is a massive difference, right? But one thing I will say is that we need to give it time. But that is one thing to notice is LM Arena, that's where models get put head to head. It doesn't perform that well in that. It also has not performed very well in Design Arena. So if we look at Gemini 3.1 Pro, it scored 1321, which is way behind Opus 4.6 at 1392. So again, this is very preliminary. You know, with some of these benchmarks, it's people voting, right? So you have to give it like a week to get a really good, accurate representation of the model. But one thing I will say is that my personal experience with the model and being able to create, you know, these unique UI components has been very impressive so far. Like, you guys can look at this and it's like, yeah, I mean, the benchmarks and it being behind in, you know, LM Arena or it being behind in Design Arena, I think we need to give it a little bit of time because what I've seen so far is I'm very impressed. It's very hard for models to get the BridgeMind stamp of approval. I don't give it to a lot of models. You know, Opus 4.6 has the stamp of approval. Sonnet 4.6 has the stamp of approval. GPT 5.3 Codex has the stamp of approval. And I am going to give the BridgeMind stamp of approval to this Gemini 3.1 model. I am going to be using it in my vibe coding workflows because the capability of it to create unique UI components, its writing capabilities, its instruction following, I've been very impressed, and I'm going to be using this in my daily vibe coding workflow. Now I want to actually put Gemini 3.1 Pro through my vibe coding workflow, and I want to do this inside of anti-gravity. So I haven't used anti-gravity in a long time, but yesterday I used it, and you can see here that I used it for fixing a video preview bug, and then I also had it redesign that BridgeBench page that I showed you guys. I have not used it since yesterday for probably like a couple months, and the reason for that is that up to this point, every time that I used anti-gravity, it had a bunch of issues. But I did use anti-gravity yesterday, and I was thoroughly impressed by its capability to use the anti-gravity browser tools. I've never seen anything like it. They have significantly improved this, and I want to show you guys what I saw yesterday. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add BridgeMind UI. I want you to navigate the website, particularly the blog page, and I want you to review the blog page and come up with improvements to the UI for the blog page as well as the blog ID pages. It needs to be very modern and unique. So let's just drop it in just like this, right? So it's going to probably open that up, and you guys are going to see this in a second. And again, I'm using Bridge Voice right now. Bridge Voice is one of the tools in the BridgeMind suite of projects. This is like pretty much a near perfect transcription time for basically voice to text. It's faster than WhisperFlow. It's cheaper than WhisperFlow. I highly suggest that you guys use it. So you can see here that it immediately starts this, and it's going to run anti-gravity in the browser and be able to navigate through the website. So that's going to run. I'm going to launch another conversation, and I'm going to add BridgeMind UI. Okay, look at this, guys. So this just launched. We need to let this launch. So this is anti-gravity right now. You can see that it's getting the DOM. It's right now, this is actually, it says the site can't be released. It refused to connect. So let's see if that figures that out. But let's drop in BridgeMind UI, and I'm going to say, I want you to use the Chrome DevTools MCP, and I want you to navigate through every single page of the website and evaluate any console errors that are happening and fix them. So I'm going to give it that prompt as well, and I'm going to kick off another one, and I'm going to drop in the BridgeMind API. I want you to review this Nest.js project and evaluate it for bugs and vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities. I also want you to evaluate it for performance improvements that we could make in terms of making it a more performant API. Do an in-depth review. Do not update any code, but just output your findings after an in-depth review. So we're going to drop in that one as well. And then I'm also going to start another conversation. I'm going to drop in BridgeMind. Actually, let's do Bridge Voice. And what I want to do is I want to say, I want you to review the themes and the different options that users can use to customize Bridge Voice and Bridge Space. And I want you to create better themes that are more customizable, offer more themes that are cooler, techno, and review what's in existence, and then add new themes and improve existing themes. So we're going to drop in both Bridge Space Tari and Bridge Voice, and we're going to improve the themes using that styling that I talked to you guys about. So we're going to pass in that. I want you to make sure that the themes are consistent in both Tari applications. So we're going to drop that in, and we're going to paste it in. And then let's launch another one, and let's drop in. We're going to do BridgeMind. Let's do BridgeMind. Let me see here. Okay, I have an idea. So this is one thing that definitely needs to be done. So let's go to Bridge Space Tari. I'll work on this on stream today. I want you to review the logic associated with dragging and dropping a workspace up to the header in order to create a new workspace with that pane. This functionality does not work, and I've tried to fix it, but it continues to have errors and not work. So I want to restart and remove all of the functionality associated with grabbing a terminal pane and dragging it up to the header to drag it and drop it and create a new workspace. I want to completely remove the existing functionality, do an in-depth review, and then remove that functionality because we are going to build that functionality from scratch, and I want all of that functionality removed. Do an in-depth deep dive, create a structured plan for what code you need to remove without breaking functionality, and then update the project respectively. So we're going to drop that in. And again, you guys can see Bridge Voice is pretty much near immediate transcription times, and we used Opus 4.6 the other day, or no, it was Sonnet 4.6 that we used to be able to 10x the improvement and the response in the performance of Bridge Voice. Bridge Voice has gotten very good. So right now we have several, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 agents working inside of anti-gravity. And again, what I'll say is that I have noticed improvements inside of anti-gravity. I probably will use anti-gravity a little bit more in my workflow. It's been very impressive to use. You can see here it says, hey, MCP server not found. Let's see if it knows how to add that MCP. That'll be interesting if it understands how it's able to add that MCP. But all these agents are working, and I'm going to let them work. And we'll probably work on this on stream. But what I want to talk to you guys about is just Google Anti-Gravity has gotten better, especially with this model. I think that, hey, if you want the best harness for Google models, for Gemini models, you want to use their native suite, right? It's like, hey, if you want the best out of Anthropic models, you probably want to be using Claude Code, right? If you want the best out of Gemini models, you probably want to be using the Gemini CLI or Anti-Gravity. One thing to note is that Gemini 3.1 Pro is still not available in the Gemini 3 or the Gemini CLI. I have the Google AI Ultra plan, and it's still not available. I get Gemini 3.1 Pro a little bit early inside of Anti-Gravity yesterday, which was nice, but in the Gemini CLI, it's still not available. So that's one important thing to note. So these are all working. Let's see this here. So I was able to go, and it wasn't able to navigate this. So it said, oh, I wasn't able to open this. But look at this. It said, hey, now navigate here, right? So now it's navigating here. Can I go back over to, oh, look at this. Yeah, so check this out, guys. So now look at this. This is the cool part about it. So you're able to navigate and see like, okay, this is what happened. It records it. It's able to navigate the site. Even here, do you guys see this? Look at how it's improving it. It's already improving it. But Gemini was clicking around the website, and it has full control of my browser and the ability to click through, like, oh, look at this. So it's literally navigating my website and like scrolling down and evaluating it and screen recording it and evaluating it and taking screenshots. And this is something about anti-gravity that is completely different than what you would be getting out of something like Cursor. Cursor does not have this functionality. So I'm going to let this work. I think I actually just interrupted it and messed it up probably. But what I will say is that Google Anti-Gravity, do not sleep on it, because that browser use tool is very impressive. Like, look at this. You're going to be able to see it. Look at it. Clicked on one of the... That's just like incredible, right? So this is different. This is definitely an improvement, and this will continue to get better. But based off of my usage of Anti-Gravity yesterday, I just want you guys to know that this tool, Anti-Gravity, is getting better, and especially with this new model, Gemini 3.1 Pro, it's getting even more. It's getting more improvement. So that's one thing that you want to be, clued in on, is that this is going to get better. If you want to use Gemini 3.1 Pro models or just Gemini models in general, we're going to start using anti-gravity in the Gemini CLI a little bit more on stream, just because I think that this model is really good. Again, I'm putting the BridgeMind stamp of approval on this model. I'm going to be using it in my vibe coding workflow. I'm going to start using anti-gravity more, because look at this use case. A couple months ago, this, browser tool use, this didn't work consistently. And what you guys are seeing is that now it does. So this is just one thing that I wanted to highlight and say, hey, anti-gravity is getting better, chat. Like, this is getting better, and we want to stay up to date with the latest tools, because you can't do this inside of Cursor. Cursor doesn't do this, guys. It uses Playwright, uses some goofy browser tools. Anti-gravity is able to do like screen recordings and navigations. That is incredible. You could test entire UI and auth flows and pretty much everything about your site just by prompting anti-gravity. So definitely take note of this. Gemini 3.1 Pro, BridgeMind approved. We're going to be using anti-gravity more. I'm very impressed with how it performs. I'm impressed with the speed. I'm impressed with the intelligence. I'm impressed with the cost. We'll continue to use it, and that could change over time. And as new models release, that could change as the workflows improve or different models come out or different tools come out. But what I will say is that I'm going to be integrating this model into my vibe coding workflow. I'm going to start using the Gemini CLI more. I'm going to start using anti-gravity more, because Google is cooking, and we need to stay up to date with what they're releasing, because I've been thoroughly impressed by this latest release. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to end the video here. If you haven't already liked and subscribed or joined the BridgeMind Discord community, make sure you do so. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.